The bright summer sky above Pine Creek was clear and blue until a streak of light cut across it. The object moved fast, trailing smoke and fire. It crashed with a loud boom in the backyard of 42 Maple Street, home to the Miller family. Joe Miller was fixing the lawn mower in the garage when he heard the crash. His wife Carol was in the kitchen making lunch. Their son Ethan, 16 years old, was playing video games in his room, and 8-year-old Lily was drawing pictures on the porch. "What was that?" Joe shouted, running out of the garage. He saw a deep hole in their backyard. Smoke rose from it. Carol rushed outside. "Joe, are you okay?" "I'm fine," Joe said. "But something fell from the sky." Ethan and Lily joined their parents. The four of them moved closer to the hole. Inside was a small ship, about the size of their car. It was made of a strange metal that seemed to change color in the sunlight. "Is that ... spaceship?" Ethan asked, his eyes wide. "Everyone stay back," Joe warned. "It could be dangerous." Just then, a panel on the side of the ship slid open. Miller stepped back. A figure emerged slowly from the ship. It was not human. The creature was tall and thin with blue-gray skin. It had 2 arms and 2 legs like a human, but its head was larger, with big dark eyes that took up most of its face. It had no nose, just 2 small holes and a tiny mouth. Its fingers were long and had 1 extra joint. Lily gasped. "It's an alien!" The creature tried to stand but fell. A purple liquid dripped from a cut on its leg. "It's hurt," Carol said. She had been a nurse before becoming a stay-at-home mom. Even though she was scared, she couldn't ignore someone in pain. "Carol, don't," Joe said. But his wife was already moving toward the alien. The creature made strange clicking sounds and pulled out a small device from a pocket in what looked like a uniform. It pressed some buttons and the device began to glow. "Hello," a flat, computer-like voice came from the device. "No harm." "Need help." Carol knelt beside the alien. "You're bleeding." "I can help." The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. It seemed surprised. "Joe, get my first aid kit from the bathroom," Carol called. Joe hesitated but then ran to the house. Ethan stood frozen, staring at the alien. Lily moved closer, curious rather than afraid. "What's your name?" Lily asked. The alien touched its device again. "Zorax, scientist from Nelvara." "I'm Lily," the little girl said. "These are my mom and brother. My dad went to get stuff to help you." Joe returned with the first aid kit. Carol opened it and took out some bandages and antiseptic. "I don't know if this will work on you," she told Zorax, "but we need to stop the bleeding." Zorax watched as Carol cleaned and bandaged the wound. The purple blood stopped flowing. "Thank you," the device translated. "Ship damaged. Cannot leave now." Joe looked worried. "We should call someone. The police or the army or ... "No," Zorax's device said loudly. "Please, humans often fear different. Study shows governments take aliens for tests, not want to be tested." The family looked at each other. They had seen enough movies to know what Zorax meant. "We can't just keep an alien in our backyard," Joe sighed. "Someone will notice." "We need to move the ship," Ethan suggested. "Dad, what about the old shed? It's big enough." Joe thought for a moment. "Maybe, but we'll need help." He pulled out his phone. "I'm calling Greg. He's a physicist at the university. If anyone can help us understand this situation, it's him." While Joe made the call, Carol helped Zorax walk to their back porch. The alien moved with a slight limp. Lily brought a glass of water, but Zorax shook his head. "Different biology. Cannot." "Drink earth water," the device translated. "What do you drink?" Lily asked. Zorax touched the device and showed Lily a picture of a purple plant. "Extract from this, have some in ship." Ethan ran to the ship and found a container with a thick purple liquid. He brought it to Zorax, who drank it slowly. "Thank you," the device said. "You are kind humans. Why did you come to Earth?" Carol asked. "Science mission. Study planets, accident happened, navigation failed." Before Zorax could explain more, a car pulled into the driveway. Greg Bennett, Joe's friend since college, got out and walked to the backyard. He stopped when he saw Zorax. "Holy ... Greg couldn't finish his sentence. Greg, this is Zorax, Joe said, trying to sound calm. He crashed in our yard and needs help fixing his ship. Greg adjusted his glasses. When you said emergency, this is not what I expected. Can you help? Carol asked. Greg walked around Zorax, looking at him with wonder. This is ... incredible, actual proof of intelligent life beyond Earth. We need to keep this secret, Joe said, at least until we figure things out. Greg nodded. I agree. If the government finds out, they'll take over. We might never learn anything. As night fell, the men managed to move Zorax's ship into the old shed behind the garage. Carol made a space in the basement where Zorax could stay. It was next to Joe's workshop, with a small bed and some blankets. You'll be safe here, Carol told him. We'll help you fix your ship. Zorax looked at each member of the Miller family. His large eyes seemed to show emotion, though they couldn't tell what kind. My people say humans dangerous, the device translated. Records show violence, war, but you help me. Why? Lily in her simple way answered. Because you needed help. And Mom says we should always help people who need it. Not people, Zorax corrected through the device. Not human. Doesn't matter, Lily said with a shrug. You're still someone. As the Millers went upstairs for dinner, promising to bring food that might be safe for Zorax to try, the alien sat on the edge of the small bed. He looked at his translation. Device and added a new entry. Some humans show kindness to strangers, even those from other worlds. This was not in our records. Must study more. Outside, a shooting star crossed the night sky. Inside the Miller house, something equally rare had begun a friendship that crossed the stars. A week passed since Zorax crashed in the Miller's backyard. The alien now stayed in the basement, which the family had made more comfortable with extra blankets, a small table, and a lamp. Zorax spent most of his time studying Earth languages. Through Lily's school books and watching educational shows on a tablet Ethan gave him, on this morning, Joe came downstairs with a tray of food. He found Zorax sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by books. Good morning, Joe said. I brought breakfast. Zorax looked up. His translation device, which he now wore on a string around his neck, converted his clicks and whistles. Good morning, Joe Miller. Thank you for food. Joe set down the tray. It held toast, fruit, and a bowl of the purple liquid from Zorax's ship. The family had been trying different Earth foods to see what was safe for the alien to eat. So far he could handle some fruits and plain bread. How are the language lessons going? Joe asked. Fast learning, Zorax said through the device. English has patterns, easier than my third language on Nelvara, Joe smiled. The alien's quick progress amazed him. Greg will be here later to work on your ship. Zorax nodded, a human gesture he had picked up. Good. Thank Greg Bennett. Joe went upstairs where Carol was making lunch for Ethan and Lily to take to school. How is he? Carol asked. Learning fast, Joe said. I still can't believe we have an alien in our basement. Carol handed Ethan his lunch bag. Remember, not a word to anyone. Ethan rolled his eyes. I know, Mom, it's not like anyone would believe. Me anyway. I want to stay home with Zorax, Lily said, swinging her legs under the table. You have school, Carol reminded her. You can play with Zorax when you get home. After the kids left for school, Carol went down to the basement with a pile of CDs. Zorax, I brought something for you, she said. The alien looked at the shiny discs. What are these objects? Music, Carol explained. She put a disc in a small player and pressed play. Piano notes filled the room. Zorax's eyes widened, and he made a strange movement, almost like shivering. Are you okay? Carol asked, concerned. Yes. The device translated. This sensation ... new on Nelvara, sound and color connect in brain. Your music makes colors in my mind, beautiful colors. Carol smiled and played different kinds of music, classical, jazz, rock. Zorax seemed most moved by classical pieces, his long fingers moving in the air as if touching the invisible colors. Think. You, Carol Miller, Zorax said. Music is good bridge between worlds. Later that afternoon, Greg arrived with a box of tools and electronic parts. He and Joe went to the shed where they had hidden Zorax's ship. "I've been studying the metal of the hull," Greg said, putting on gloves. "It's unlike anything on Earth. It seems to absorb and redirect energy." Joe looked at the strange patterns on the ship's surface. "Can we fix it?" Greg sighed. "Maybe, but it will take time. Months, probably. Some of the technology is just beyond our understanding." When Ethan came home from school, he rushed to the basement. He found Zorax drawing detailed pictures of strange landscapes and creatures. "Is that your home?" Ethan asked, sitting beside the alien. "Yes, planet Nelvara," Zorax said. "These are mountains near my city. These are flying creatures like your birds." Ethan pointed to a drawing of tall structures. "Is that where you live?" "Yes. I'm scientist there, study other worlds." "That's so cool," Ethan said. "I want to be a scientist too, maybe an astronaut." Zorax made a sound that the translation device didn't catch, but it seemed like laughter. "Perhaps one day you visit Nelvara." They spent the next hour with Ethan explaining his science homework and Zorax offering insights that made the problems seem simple. Ethan was amazed at how Zorax could solve complex equations in his head. When Lily got home, she also ran to the basement. She carried a worried look on her face. "Zorax, I need to tell you something," she said in a small voice. "What is wrong?" "Lily Miller?" Zorax asked. "I might have made a mistake." Lily looked down at her shoes. "My teacher asked us to draw our families for a project." "I drew Mom and Dad and Ethan, and you," Ethan gasped. "Lily, we're supposed to keep Zorax a secret." "I'm sorry. I didn't say he was real. I said he was my friend from space." Joe and Carol, who had heard the commotion, came downstairs. "What happened?" Joe asked. Lily explained about her drawing. Joe ran his hand through his hair, looking worried. "Mrs. Baker asked if I had an imaginary friend," Lily continued. "I said yes." Carol knelt beside her daughter. "Did she believe you?" Lily nodded but then shook her head. "I think so. But Jason, a boy in my class, said his dad works for the government and studies space stuff. He wanted to know more about my friend." Joe and Carol exchanged concerned looks. "It might be nothing," Carol said. "Kids have imaginary friends all the time." "Still, we should be more careful," Joe said. He turned to Zorax. "Maybe we should." "Move you somewhere else?" Zorax stood up, now almost used to his injured leg. "No need yet, but I will stay hidden better." That evening, after the kids went to bed, Joe noticed a car he didn't recognize driving slowly past their house. It stopped briefly before continuing down the street. "Carol," Joe called softly, "come look at this." They watched from behind the curtains as the car circled the block and passed by again. "Could be nothing," Joe said, not sounding convinced. "Or it could be someone checking out Lily's story," Carol said. In the basement, Zorax sat in the dark. His species could see well without much light. He was listening to a Mozart CD that Carol had given him while looking at the night sky through a small window. Zorax touched his device and recorded a message in his native language. The device translated it to English as he spoke. Day 7. On Earth, the Miller family continues to show kindness. They risk much to help me. Their young seem especially accepting of differences. This challenges our records of human behavior. Perhaps our assessment of Earth was incomplete. The children, Ethan and Lily, remind me of young ones on Nelvara, curious, open-minded, but I worry my presence endangers them. Must work faster on repairs. As Zorax finished his recording, a faint beeping came from a small device attached to his uniform. He checked it and his large eyes widened. It was a weak signal, very far away, but unmistakable. A Nelvaran ship was in the solar system. Zorax wasn't as alone as he had thought. But the signal carried a message that made his heart beat faster. The ship wasn't just coming for him. It was coming to assess Earth for something much bigger. And the Millers might be in danger because of him. 3 weeks had passed since Zorax crashed on Earth. The alien was now part of the Millers' daily life. His leg had healed completely, and he moved around the house freely when no visitors were expected. This morning, Zorax was in the garden with Carol, He knelt beside her, his long fingers gently touching the plants. "These tomatoes not growing well," Zorax said. His English had improved, though he still spoke through his translation device. "Soil needs more minerals." Carol wiped sweat from her forehead. "I've tried everything. They just won't grow right." Zorax reached into a pouch on his belt and pulled out a small vial of blue powder. "From my ship, safe for earth plants, will help." He sprinkled the powder around the tomato plants. Within minutes, the leaves began to look greener and healthier. "That's amazing," Carol said. "What is that stuff?" "Mineral compound from Nelvara. We use for farming." Inside the house, Joe and Greg were in the basement looking at parts from Zorax's ship. Greg had brought a microscope to examine the strange metals. "I've never seen elements that bond this way," Greg said. "It defies our laws of physics," Joe sighed. "So we can't fix it?" "I didn't say that," Greg replied. "But it will take longer than we thought. Maybe 3 more months." Joe looked worried. "I don't know if we can keep Zorax hidden that long." "People in town are starting to talk," Greg nodded. "I heard rumors at the university. Someone reported strange lights in this area around the time of the crash." In Ethan's room, he and Zorax were working on a science project. Ethan was building a model of the solar system, but with Zorax's help, it was far more advanced than his. Teacher expected, "So Jupiter has 79 moons?" Ethan asked. "That is current Earth count," Zorax confirmed. "On Nelvara, we have identified 82, Ethan laughed. "My teacher won't believe this." "Say you read in book?" Zorax suggested. "Not mention me." Lily burst into the room, her face pale. "Dad! There's a man outside taking pictures of our house." Joe rushed to the window. A man in a dark suit stood across the street with a camera. When he saw Joe, he quickly got into a black car and drove away. "Everyone stay calm," Joe said, though his voice shook slightly. "Zorax, back to the basement. Kids, act normal." That evening, after dinner, the family gathered in the living room. Zorax joined them, sitting cross-legged on the floor. "We need to talk about what's happening," Joe said. "Greg told me people are asking questions, and that man today ... I heard things at school too," Ethan added. "Jason, the kid whose dad works for the government, asked if we had seen any unusual activity lately." Carol took Joe's hand. "What do we do?" Before anyone could answer, Zorax's communication device made a loud beeping noise. The alien pulled it out, his large eyes widening as he read something on its screen. "Message from Nelvaran's ship," Zorax said. "They are coming for me. That's good news, right?" Lily asked. "You can go home." Zorax's expression was hard to read. Not simple, must tell truth now. He looked at each family member. "My mission to Earth, not just science. Nelvara dying. Our sun changing, need new home." A heavy silence filled the room. "You came to invade Earth?" Joe asked, his voice low. "Not me," Zorax said quickly. "I am scientist. Study if Earth compatible. Some Nelvarans want to take Earth, others want peace, share knowledge, ask permission. Which side are you on?" Carol asked. Zorax touched a hand to his chest. "Before crash. Not sure. Now, after living with Millers, I know. Earth people deserve respect. Nelvarans should ask, not take." Joe let out a breath he had been holding. "And the ship that's coming?" "Commander Vex leads. He believes in taking, not asking." The mood in the room darkened. Joe stood up and began pacing. "So we helped you, and now your people might invade our planet?" His voice rose in anger. "Joe," Carol said softly, "Zorax didn't know us before. People fear what they don't understand. We did too at first." Lily walked over to Zorax and took his hand. "Zorax is our friend now. He'll help us." Zorax squeezed Lily's hand gently. "Yes, we'll send message to Nelvaran Council. Tell them humans kind, intelligent, worthy of respect." The conversation was interrupted by the sound of a car pulling into their driveway. Joe looked out the window and saw a government vehicle. A tall man in a suit got out. "It's too late," Joe said. "They found us." The doorbell rang. Carol quickly led Zorax back to the basement while Joe went to answer the door. A man with short gray hair and a stern face stood on the porch. He held up a badge. Mr. Miller? I'm Agent Harlow with the Department of Special Affairs. May I come? In? Joe tried to look calm. What's this about? We've received reports of unusual activity in this area. Lights in the sky, strange noises, and your daughter's interesting school project. Agent Harlow's eyes were cold. I'd like to take a look. Around if you don't mind. Before Joe could answer, Lily came running into the hallway. Dad, something's wrong with Mom. Agent Harlow looked surprised. Joe turned to Lily, confused. She fell down in the kitchen, Lily said, her eyes wide. She's not moving. Joe pushed past Agent Harlow. I need to check on my wife. Wait here. He followed Lily to the kitchen, but Carol wasn't there. Lily put a finger to her lips and pointed to the basement door. Joe understood it was a distraction. When they returned to the front door, Joe looked worried. My wife is feeling ill. Can you come back tomorrow? Agent Harlow frowned. Should I call an ambulance? No, she just needs rest. It's her migraines. Please, this isn't a good time. The agent looked suspicious but nodded. I'll return tomorrow at noon. Make sure you're all available. He handed Joe his card and left Dot. As soon as the car drove away, the family gathered in the basement with Zorax. He knows something, Joe said. We need a plan. Zorax's device beeped again. He checked it and looked alarmed. Nelvern's ship will arrive in 3 days. Commander Vex sent message. They detected my crash. Coming to clean up situation? This means removing all evidence. Including us? Ethan asked. Zorax nodded slowly. Possibly. I must fix communication system tonight. Send message to Council. Suddenly, Lily swayed on her feet. Her face was flushed and she collapsed into Carol's arms. Lily, Carol touched her daughter's forehead. She's burning up. Zorax moved quickly to examine the child. His eyes narrowed as he scanned her. Strange infection. Not normal Earth sickness. Carol looked panicked. We need to take her to the hospital. No, Zorax said firmly. Hospital cannot help. This from contact with me. Nelvern biology affected her. He reached for his pouch. I can help. Trust me. The Millers looked at each other, torn between fear for their daughter and trust in their alien friend. Their decision would change everything. Lily lay on the couch, her small body shaking with fever. Carol placed a cold cloth on her daughter's forehead while Joe paced the room. Ethan sat nearby, his face full of worry. Zorax worked quickly, mixing liquids from various small containers he had brought from his ship. What exactly is wrong with her? Joe asked, his voice tight with concern. Zorax looked up from his work. Nelvern microbes, not dangerous on my planet. On Earth, different. Her body fighting unknown thing. Can you fix it? Carol's eyes were red from crying. Yes, making medicine now. Zorax held up a vial of glowing blue liquid. Need one more thing. He hesitated. Need small amount of my blood. Contains antibodies. Joe and Carol exchanged worried looks. Is that safe? Joe asked. You're not even from this planet. Only way, Zorax said firmly. Trust me, please. After a moment, Carol nodded. Do it. Save our daughter. Zorax used a small device to extract some of his purple blood. He mixed it with the blue liquid, which turned a deep violet color. He filled a small injector with the mixture. This will help, he said, approaching Lily. He gently pressed the injector against her arm. The liquid disappeared into her skin, leaving no mark. How long until it works? Ethan asked. 1 hour. Maybe less, Zorax said. Now we wait. While they watched over Lily, Zorax worked on his communication device. He needed to send a message to the Nelvern Council before Commander Vex arrived. Greg came over to help, bringing a female colleague with him. This is Dr. Susan Crawford, Greg said. She's an expert in communication technology. We can trust her. Dr. Crawford was a tall woman with short blonde hair and intense eyes. She looked at Zorax with wonder. I never thought I'd see this day, she said, an actual alien. No time for amazement, Zorax said. Need to boost signal, reach Nelvern Council. They set up equipment in the basement connecting Earth technology. With Zorax's devices, Dr. Crawford worked quickly, her hands moving with confidence. Your planet is in trouble? she asked Zorax as they worked. Yes, our sun changing. Making Neelvara too hot. Many years of bad harvests, people hungry. Dr. Crawford nodded. Earth has climate problems too. Maybe we could help each other instead of fighting. Some Nelvarans think same, Zorax said. Others want to take, not share? Upstairs, Lily's condition began to improve. Her fever went down and color returned to her face. She opened her eyes and smiled weakly at her mother. I feel better, she whispered. Carol hugged her daughter, tears of relief flowing down her face. Thank goodness. Joe knelt beside them. Zorax's medicine worked. Where is Zorax? Lily asked. I want to thank him. In the basement with Greg and a scientist friend? Joe explained. They're trying to send a message to his people. Lily's eyes widened. To tell them not to hurt us? Joe nodded. Yes, sweetheart. That's exactly right. In the basement, Zorax, Greg, and Dr. Crawford finally got their communication system working. Zorax sent a long message in his language to the Nelvaran Council. He explained how the Millers had helped him, how they had shown kindness and trust. He argued that humans were worthy of respect, and that Nelvarans should seek cooperation, not conquest. Message sent, Zorax announced. Now must prepare for Vex's arrival. What will you do? Greg asked. Face him. Tell truth, Zorax's large eyes seemed sad. May not listen. The next morning, Agent Harlow returned as promised. This time, he brought 2 more agents with him. Mr. Miller, he said when Joe opened the door, I need to speak with your family. All of your family, Joe tried to stay calm. Come in. We're all here. In the living room, Carol sat with Lily, who looked much better. Ethan stood by the window. There was no sign of Zorax. Agent Harlow looked around. I have satellite images of something crashing in this area 3 weeks ago. And reports of unusual plant growth in your garden? Your daughter's teacher sent us. Her drawing of a friend from space. I think you're hiding something. That's ridiculous, Joe said, trying to laugh. Lily has a big imagination. Agent Harlow pulled out a device that looked like a small metal detector. This measures radiation and unusual elements. Let's see what it finds. He began walking around the room. The device made a soft beeping sound, which grew louder as he approached the basement door. What's down there? He asked Dot before Joe could. Answer, they heard cars pulling up outside. Many cars. Ethan looked out the window. Dad, he called. There are people in weird uniforms out there. Agent Harlow rushed to the window. His face hardened. You called someone? This is a federal investigation. We didn't call anyone, Carol said, holding Lily close. The front door burst open. Dr. Crawford ran in, looking panicked. Joe! Carol, they're here, Zorax's people. Agent Harlow reached for his gun. Who is Zorax? What's going on here? The basement. Door opened and Zorax stepped out. Agent Harlow's eyes widened in shock. What the hell is that? He gasped, pointing his gun at Zorax. Please lower weapon, Zorax said calmly. I am Zorax, scientist from planet Nelvara. These humans helped me after crash. They are friends. Agent Harlow's hand shook. Stay where you are. Outside there was a bright flash of light. The ground shook slightly. Through the window they could see 3 tall figures walking toward the house. They looked like Zorax but wore shiny armor and carried what looked like weapons. Commander Vex, Zorax said. He found me. Agent Harlow's radio crackled. Sir, we have multiple unknown entities approaching the house. Request instructions. Before he could respond, Ethan ran to the door. Ethan, no. Joe shouted, but it was. Too late. Ethan yanked open the front door and stood in the doorway, facing the aliens. You can't hurt my family, he yelled. One of the aliens raised a weapon. A beam of light shot out, heading straight for Ethan. Zorax moved with incredible speed, pushing Ethan aside. The beam hit Zorax in the shoulder. He fell to the ground, purple blood spreading across his uniform. Zorax! Lily screamed, breaking free from Carol and running to the fallen alien. The armed alien stopped. The one in the middle, taller than the others, seemed confused by the sight of a human child kneeling beside the wounded Zorax. Agent Harlow stood frozen, his gun still in his hand. What just happened? Dr. Crawford stepped forward. Your job is to protect humans, right? Well, those aliens out there might be hostile. But this one, she pointed to Zorax, just saved a human child. He's been living with this family for weeks. They've been helping each other. Agent Harlow looked at Zorax, who was now sitting up with Lily's help. The alien's large eyes met his. Some want war, Zorax said weakly. I want peace. Choice now, very important choice. Outside, Commander Vex. And his soldiers waited. Inside, humans and one alien faced a moment that would change two worlds forever. Time seemed to stand still as humans and aliens faced each other. Zorax leaned on Lily for support, his purple blood staining his uniform. Commander Vex stood at the door, his weapon still raised. Agent Harlow kept his gun pointed at the alien. Commander, while Joe and Carol moved protectively toward their children. Stop this, Vex, Zorax said in his own language, which his device translated for the humans. These people helped me. They saved my life. Vex's large eyes narrowed. You have become weak, Zorax. These humans have clouded your judgment. Our mission is clear. Your mission is wrong, Zorax replied. Look around you. See how they live, how they care for each other. How they cared for me, a stranger from another world. Agent Harlow stepped forward, his gun steady now. I don't know what's happening here, but this is Earth, and I'm responsible for protecting it. Dr. Crawford moved beside him. Agent Harlow, we need to be careful. This could be first contact with an alien civilization. How we handle this matters. Vex looked at the humans with cold eyes. Our scientists say Earth is perfect for Nelvaran life. Our people are suffering. We need this planet. And what about the people who already live here? Joe asked, finding his courage. This is our home. Vex seemed surprised that a human would address him directly. Your species is primitive. You waste resources. You fight among yourselves. We're not perfect. Carol said, but we're learning. We're trying to be better. Lily, still supporting Zorax, spoke up. Zorax taught me about the stars. I taught him how to make paper airplanes. We can learn from each other. Ethan, recovering from his near miss with the alien weapon, added, Zorax says your planet is dying because of your sun. Our planet has climate problems too. Maybe we could help each other instead of fighting. Vex looked confused by this response. In his experience, beings faced with superior weapons showed fear, not compassion or offers of help. Suddenly, Zorax's communication device beeped loudly. He checked it, his expression changing to one of relief. Message from Nelvaran Council. He announced, they received my report about Earth. They ... He paused, reading carefully. They overrule Commander Vex's authority. They want peaceful contact. Vex's face showed shock. Impossible. The Council agreed to my mission. The Council agreed to exploration, not invasion, Zorax corrected. Read the message yourself. Vex lowered his weapon slightly and took the device. As he read, his expression changed. Finally, he lowered his weapon completely. The Council wants a diplomatic approach, he admitted. They found my methods concerning. Agent Harlow looked between the aliens, trying to understand. So, there's not going to be an invasion? No invasion, Zorax confirmed. Council wants to meet with Earth leaders. Discuss possible cooperation. The tension in the room decreased. Slightly, Agent Harlow lowered his gun but kept it ready. I need to report this to my superiors, he said. This is way above my pay grade, Dr. Crawford smiled. I think that's wise. This could be the beginning of something amazing for both our worlds. Over the next few days, things moved quickly. Agent Harlow contacted his superiors, who contacted government leaders. Dr. Crawford helped explain the scientific aspects of Nelvaran technology. Greg provided information about Zorax's ship and its capabilities. The Millers found themselves at the center of an historic event. Their home became a meeting place for scientists, government officials, and Nelvaran representatives. Through it all, they insisted that Zorax be treated with respect as their friend, not just as an alien visitor. A week later, a proper meeting was arranged at a remote location. A small group of Earth representatives would meet with the Nelvaran delegation. The Millers were invited to attend due to their special relationship with Zorax. On the day of the meeting, Lily held Zorax's hand as they walked toward the meeting. "Tent, are you nervous?" she asked him. "Yes," Zorax admitted. "This very important day for both worlds." "Don't worry," Lily said with a child's confidence. "Everyone will like each other, just like we like you." Zorax made a sound that the Millers now recognized as laughter. "Hope you're right, Lily Miller." Inside the tent, Earth officials sat on one side of a large table. The Nelvaran delegation, including Commander Vex, sat on the other. Zorax sat between them, acting as a translator even though both sides now had translation devices. "People of Earth," began the Nelvaran leader, "we come seeking cooperation. Our world faces challenges. Your world has resources we need. But we do not wish to take. We wish to share knowledge, to trade fairly." The lead Earth representative, a woman with gray hair, responded, "We are open to peaceful exchange. But we need assurances that our world and our people will be respected." As the formal talks continued, Lily grew bored. She pulled a piece of paper from her pocket and began to draw. When she finished, she tugged on Zorax's sleeve. "I made this for you," she whispered, handing him the drawing. Zorax looked at the picture. It showed the Miller family, Joe, Carol, Ethan, and Lily standing in front of their house. Next to them stood Zorax, holding Lily's hand. Above them, a spaceship and the sun shined in a blue sky. At the bottom, Lily had written, "My family." Zorax felt something strange in his chest, a warmth he had never experienced before. He showed the drawing to both delegations. "This," he said, "is why our worlds should be friends. This child sees beyond differences, sees connection, possibility." The room fell silent as everyone looked at the simple drawing. Then, slowly, the Nelvaran leader extended a hand toward the Earth representative, mimicking the human gesture of a handshake that Zorax had taught them. After a moment's hesitation, she took it. 1 year later, the Miller's backyard looked very different. The shed that once hid Zorax's crashed ship now housed a small laboratory where Zorax worked with Earth scientists. In the garden, Earth plants grew alongside samples of Nelvaran flora that Carol was helping to adapt to Earth's environment. Joe stood at the grill, cooking hamburgers and some strange purple vegetables that the Nelvaran visitors enjoyed. Greg and Dr. Crawford chatted with a group of Nelvaran scientists about a new joint space mission. Agent Harlow, now part of the official Earth-Nelvara diplomatic team, was showing some Nelvaran visitors how to play horseshoes. Ethan, who had started taking advanced science classes inspired by Zorax, was explaining his school project to anyone who would listen. It was a design for a solar shield that might help Nelvara deal with their sun's increasing heat. Carol brought out a large bowl of salad and called everyone to eat. As they gathered around the table set up in the yard, Joe raised his glass. "To family," he said, "in all its forms." Everyone lifted their glasses in agreement. Above them, visible in the evening sky, a bright point of light moved steadily across the stars. It was the first joint human-Nelvaran space station, a symbol of cooperation between two worlds that might otherwise have been enemies. On the porch steps, Lily sat beside Zorax, looking up at the stars just beginning to appear. "Tell me again about your home planet," she asked. As she had many times before, Zorax lifted the child onto his shoulder so she could see better. "See that bright blue star? Near it is Nelvara. One day you visit. See the flying creatures like your birds? But with 6 wings, see the purple oceans. Promise?" Lily asked. "Promise," Zorax said, his voice soft. He looked around at the gathering, at the humans and Nelvarans sharing food and ideas. "Look what we did, Lily Miller. Your family changed 2 worlds." Lily smiled and pointed to a shooting star streaking across the sky. "Make a wish, Zorax." The alien didn't need to. Everything he could wish for was already here, in this backyard, with his unexpected human family.